back now to Clover Park as we get set here for the 7th inning. New pitcher on for the St Lucie Mets. It's Wilson Lopez. He takes over here for us. Going Escalante. Lopez trying to continue right along. I got a special guest with me up here in the broadcast booth. First pitch misses high for ball 1. It's Philip's dad, Philip Benfield. Welcome onto the broadcast.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Glad to have you here. All right, so the first thing I have to ask you is,
yes,
what embarrassing stories do we have of Philip?
Oh, well, where can I start, actually? But no, for real, nah. There was a time in kindergarten. No, just joking. But
no. Philip's great. He does a fantastic job here.
Absolutely.
As the showrunner here. We love. Where would we be without Phil for these broadcasts?
Yeah, the apple didn't fall far from the tree with him, because my broadcasting background, and then he wanted to be in production. So yeah, he wants to be behind the camera where I wanted to be in front of the camera in those days. So. Well,
tell us a little bit about that broadcasting experience. You were telling us to a little bit off air.
Oh, yeah. I went to the University of Florida, go Gators, and for communications and political science, and became a broadcaster, did several radio stations in the South Florida area, and produced several radio shows. And one of the first jobs I ever had, it was on WSBR radio, 740 AM. And the station's not around anymore. And one of the first jobs I had was for the Pompano Miracles minor league baseball team.
All right, the Miracles.
Yes.
Which Adam thinks, I think, eventually became, you got the Fort Myers Mighty Muscles, who were also the Fort Myers Miracles as well, too. So a little bit of connection there.
That could be it.
And a walk there to Radicek from Lopez, and now it's Garrett Forster at the plate as he takes a pitch here for a called strike. And you were also telling us there on your first job that your broadcasting partner was blind.
He was Lou Anderson, was his name. He was blind. And how he was able to get the stats up was, I would say, okay, that was a 3-2 pitch. He was walked, and then next thing you know, he'll bring it up on his Braille records. And he would read the Braille. He goes, that was his third walk, and what have you, and did it that way. He went on to
That's impressive.
Color commentary for the Philadelphia Phillies on radio.
How about that?
Back in the 90s.
That's impressive. To be able to call and talk about a sport when you can't even see what's happening.
Exactly.
That's not easy to do.
It wasn't. It was not. And he had a great sense of humor, and it was a lot of fun doing that with him. I do miss him. He was great.
Pitch was challenged there, but it stays a ball, so a loss in the challenge department. 2-1 here to Forrester. Lopez will come set in the 2-1 pitch. And there's a called strike. Counts even up at 2-2. So here now at Clover Park, enjoying some St. Lucie Mets baseball. What are you thinking of what we've seen here from the Mets today?
I'm enjoying it tonight. They're winning 9-2 right now against the Hammerheads, and it's just been amazing, especially number 35, Collins there. He has just been doing a really good job tonight.
He's got a really good swing. We talked to him for the pregame show today. He was that 7-day IL stint, but he's come out strong in this game, the 2-run home run. I think it was the Georgia Bulldogs winning their game for football. And he saw that, and he's like, all right, I got to do my part here as a Georgia Bulldog. Check swing, and that is going to be ball 4. So another walk here, and now runners on first and second for the Hammerheads.
Yeah, I was doing a little checking on him during the game, and I saw that he went part of the Bulldogs up there in Georgia.
He did, playing baseball up there, and, played in that you have the world's largest outdoor cocktail party for the Florida Gators and the Bulldogs game for football. And then the baseball teams also play in Jacksonville for a series there.
Nice.
Just before the football game. And he was telling me earlier how he obviously always played in those games. That was a big event for their baseball teams in those series. And now here in St. Lucie. Well, here is Ortega, the Jupiter Hammerheads catcher, with runners on first and second, no outs. Mets still leading 9-2. Pitch is in for a called strike. That's 0-1 now. Lopez trying to settle back in after back-to-back walks here for the Mets. So started out there with the Miracles, and then where did we go from there?
Oh, boy. So then I had worked at several South Florida radio stations. Actually, I met your PA announcer, Evan Nine, at a radio station at WIRK, which was a country music radio station in Palm Beach, and got got to know him very well. And then I worked at Y100, several music stations, but then became a nightclub DJ. And then now I do a little YouTube show. And kind of based on late night television of David Letterman and Johnny Carson. And I do that just for the fun of it.
Fielder's choice there from Ortega out at second base. So it's runners on the corners now here for Cam Clayton. So 1 out in the inning. Mets still leading 9-2. Evan Nine, he does a great job over there in the sound room. Often does PA for us here in St. Lucie. And the connection there. And a line drive, that's going to fall for a base hit. Long picks it up, 1 run in to score, and it's thrown to the cutoff man in Snyder. So that'll make it a 9-3 game here as the Hammerheads get another run across. But the Mets still in front big. That'll send Micah McDowell to the plate now here for the Hammerheads. Well, it's been a busy couple innings here. You picked a good game hanging out here at Clover Park. We've had a lot of offense. We've had some great defense as well.
Absolutely. It was a little rough start there at the beginning for the Mets, but then they really bounced back, and they're really killing it right now.
This pitch high, and that'll miss for ball 1. So tell me, I know Philip, I've talked to him before. He works in sports, but he's not as big into sports. What about yourself?
Well, I'm a Cubs fan. I was born and raised in Florida, and there was no baseball team growing up. So back then what you did was you picked a team. Marlins were even thought of at that point. And so they didn't come around until the mid-'90s. I had friends of mine who were Yankees fans and Reds fans and Mets fans and what have you. And so I picked the Cubs in '84, and I suffered every year until 2016. And that was a great year for the Cubs. And growing up as a teenager, my room was like a Cubs shrine. I had posters and baseball cards on the wall and everything else.
The whole 9 yards.
Oh, absolutely. So I'm a big baseball fan, even played it in college. And then it was funny when Philip started here about 3 years ago. I said, so did you think about, wow, I'm working for Major League Baseball? And he goes, no, it's more like I'm looking up at the window. That's where they do all the cool stuff. That's what his thinking was behind it. So I thought that was pretty funny.
You know what? I love that part of it too, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because, baseball games don't operate without people behind the scenes. You don't see Phil up here on camera, but he does a lot of work and helps us out here on the broadcast. So cool connection there. So you picked the Cubs as your favorite team, and they did win a championship not too long ago. Mm-hmm. And now you have the 2 Florida teams, of course, with the Rays and the Marlins.
Yes.
This pitch is fired in here for a strike. It's a 9-3 game now. Jupiter has chipped away at the lead. They do have the bases loaded. At the top of the lineup here in Jordan McCants after hit by pitch to Micah McDowell. So some trouble here for Lopez trying to work around a jam. 0-1 swung on and missed for strike 2. Well, all right, what's your take here on the Chicago Cubs? They were sellers at the deadline. They actually sent one of their players to the Tampa Bay Rays.
Yes, they did. And now, I don't know if that was a good move or not, because now they were 5 games back, and now they're like 9.5, I think, the last time I checked this morning. And I'm kind of hoping they win the division, but it looks like the Brewers are just a tough team this year. They're very strong.
This ball gets away. Trouble for Gutierrez as he tries to pick it up behind. Another run will come in. It's called a wild pitch, and that's going to make it 9-4. So Jupiter slowly trying to chip away at this Mets lead. And still runners in scoring position here for Jordan McCants. That's always tough at the trade deadline. You're close. You wonder, are you going to be buyers? Are you going to be sellers? The Cubs decide to go and sell. Yes. And the Mets were buyers in this year's deadline. No movement from the players here in St. Lucie. And they are fighting for a wild card spot right now. 1-2 pitch fouled off. So was baseball, you mentioned you played baseball as well earlier on.
Yes.
Was that your number one sport for you?
Absolutely. I tried playing basketball because I'm 6'4". That didn't work out for me. I just didn't have the coordination for it. So then I started playing baseball. Played all the way from Little League all the way up to college. I mostly played right field and shortstop.
1-2 pitch fouled off by McCants.
And I really loved it, to the point where my dad was, they would release the baseball cards every year in high school, and he's like, my son has a baseball card.
That's great.
It was great.
The baseball cards. It's a classic collection for a baseball fan. Pitch is fouled off again here. McCants fighting against Lopez on a 1-2 count.
And here's a little bit of something about Phillip. He has baseball cards too, because he did play Little League.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
He's got his baseball cards of
his
his
own.
own.
A baseball card too.
Well, you can't work in baseball and not have some cards.
Yeah, right.
Lopez set in the 1-2 pitch. Inside, count will even up at 2-2. The St. Lucie Mets fan shop here has got a ton of cool baseball cards that they were made at the beginning of the season, which you can pick up in the fan shop. If you're here at Clover Park, 50% off right now for the last couple of home games here. Home game tomorrow on Sunday. 2-2 pitch outside, and that'll run the count full. So Lopez trying to avoid putting another runner on and loading the bases once more. We'll see how the Mets are able to respond here. Giving up a couple of runs, but still have a comfortable lead. Payoff pitch from Lopez. Ground ball, this one. Fielded by Roselli, but he boots it into the outfield. Had it for a moment.
E4.
But loses it. And so it's going to be called an E4.
That's tough.
It's able to reach, and a run does come in to score. So that has made it a 9-5 game. Still one out in the inning, and runners on the corners here for Jupiter. And now it is Jake DeLeo at the plate with one out. Well, these things can happen in baseball. Things are looking really good for you, and then things can start to unravel. Key for the Mets is to try and get right back in it.
Yeah, right. It's amazing how it could just turn on a dime, just loading up the bases, and then either you can get out of it or you can't, and it can just change the whole game.
0-1 pitch inside. And that'll even up the count at 1-1. Mets trying to find a way to pick up a couple outs here, stop the bleeding. Jupiter has scored 3 runs in the inning. 9-5 your score. Pez will come set in the 1-1 pitch. Fly ball into left center. This one going back and lands just on the track, bouncing off the wall. Run has come in. Benj will fire it home. It's cut off. The relay throw, not in time. 2 more runs are in, and the Jupiter Hammerheads have made this a 9-7 game. 5 runs here in the 7th inning. So a little bit of trouble here for the Mets continues, still with the lead. They're going to try to fight their way back. Well, I think the Mets were doing better when we were talking about other things. So college football just got underway. Adam,
yes,
who is a big fan of the Georgia Bulldogs.
Yes.
He was very happy about Corn Collins' home run.
Really?
Do you have a college football team that you root for?
Of course, the Gators. That's where I went to school at.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's where you went to school.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I was quite proud of when we won the championship 2 years in a row there for a while. So that was nice. And it's I went to several of the games, and it always amazed me how everybody gets into the game. They get all face painted up and everything else. I don't think they allow that as much anymore, because it was, these guys would be with the shirts off and be all painted up. I don't think they allow that as much. But it always amazed me how dedicated college football fans are, even more so than NFL. In some cases.
They love it. They are huge. They are very passionate. Those games are a ton of fun, too. Mm-hmm. Mets making a pitching change here. Irving Cota into the game. We'll take a quick break here as Irving Cota warms up. Well, Philip, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it. Thank you to you and Adam. It was a very kind of you to let me on. It kind of brought back some memories.
Absolutely. We'll take a quick break here now on the St. Lucie Mets broadcast.